Good morning and welcome to the Monday Morning Marketing Podcast. I'm Esther.
And I'm Melanie.
And today we're talking about selling on social media with Louise McDonnell of sellonsocial.media. Welcome, Louise.
Thank you.
Very cleverly named.
Thanks, Melanie. There was also availability of domains at the time. Do you know when you go searching for 1,001 domains, and that just was available? So sellonsocial.media. Everybody says sellonsocialmedia.com. I'm like, no.
Yeah, it takes a bit of getting used to. So we have talked on a previous episode about not selling on social media. So tell us now why we should sell on social media.
Yeah, that's great, Esther. So I think a lot of businesses think they should be on social media because everybody else is, or because somebody else has told them to. But I think there's a lot of people who waste a lot of time and energy and on social media, and they don't actually, it doesn't deliver anything for their business. So I'm very much about, that it isn't about vanity metrics. It isn't about ticking a box. It's actually about making money. And so that's why that's the approach I would have. And I'd say the only results that really matter is your bottom line. So that's what I generally help people with. I help them figure out how they are going to actually sell on social media. So I kind of take an approach. It's taken me, yes, okay, Melanie, I'm talking too much.
Yeah, no, we should have warned you beforehand. Actually, we have this little code system, myself and Esther, so we don't talk over people. And so we put our hand up to say, well, we've got something to mention as you're talking.
Okay, fine.
But of course, we didn't tell you that, and we have now interrupted your flow. Yay, go us.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted me to talk or not. I was like, will I keep talking?
No, you're good. My God, we're hardly going to stop you, are we, Louise? Goodness no.
Just delete.
But no, the point I wanted to put across is you've been doing this for a while now. So do you have like a formula that you offer people when you're starting to train them on social media, or do they come across to you with a starting point and you tell them whether they're right or not?
Everybody's always right. I do have a formula, and where it came from was I started to train, and Facebook, I suppose, was the first social media platform that people wanted to learn how to use for business. And I remember getting the phone call. I remember the very day getting a phone call from Frank Fullard, and it was the County Enterprise Board, as it was, the local enterprise offices as they were. And he was in Mayo, and I had kind of known him from a previous job I'd been in. And he said, Louise, there's a lot of people looking to learn how to use Facebook. And I said, Frank, I don't have time for that. And he said, I said, Frank, no, we knew each other really well. Because I was like, Frank, I'm too busy. No, I don't have time for that. And he said, oh, you'd really be doing me a favor. Would you mind? Would you mind? And I said, okay, so I'll do it for you, Frank. So I put together a course on, and I like that, when you've never done any training on social media, and it's like, how am I going to present this, to people? And so I did. And so I would go, and I remember the time Charlene Flanagan was working for me. She's Charlene Jones now. She's working for me. And every time I'd come back from doing the course, we'd have a discussion about it. I was always trying to figure out, how did that go? Like, did they get it? Did they get what I was saying? You know how you do after training, you're like, what would I change the next time? Or did they get it? So what I would find when I'd walk into a course, and you probably find this yourselves, girls, is that you could have 15 people there, and they're all absolutely a totally different status.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have somebody who's sitting there and they're like, oh, you have 16,000 followers. And you have somebody there going, I hate social media. I've never been on it. I don't know how to log on. And, you've all that in the room. And so I used to come away going, oh, how can I deliver a session for somebody that everybody in the room gets something from it, and that they all go away with an understanding of where they are and where they need to go. And so it took me years. It did absolutely take me years to kind of, I go and I do it and I come back, and I go and I do it and I come back, and I keep changing things. But I did eventually come up with like a 6-step system that, and it does work, because I can have somebody who comes into a room and they're like, I hate social media, I've never been on it, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. And they'll go away with an understanding of what they need to do. And that's good. And then you have somebody else who's maybe they're really active on social media, but they're not getting any sales. And so you're able to show them within the system where they're falling down. So I generally have 3 questions. I have a question that I ask people when they're doing my training, and I'm like, are you the first scenario, the second, or the third? So the first scenario is ignore it, don't do it, hate it, put a head in the sand. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is, are you constantly on social media, but you feel like you're not getting any sales or leads? You are not getting any sales and leads. That's number 2. And number 3, then you have the people that just want to do ads because they just couldn't be bothered with spending the time on social media, but they want to run ads, but they're not getting any results either. So I generally ask people, where do you fall into? And generally they'll fall into, more or less fall into one of those 3. So I'm like, if you're 1, this is what you're doing wrong. You're probably, so the 6 steps are, number 1 is planning. So setting your SMART goals, identifying who your ideal customers and really profiling them at a deep level, and then setting your budget. So relating to your goals, you want to generate X amount of sales, how much you're prepared to spend to get that. Okay, yeah. So that's like step 1. Okay, so if you've had your head in the sand and you've been ignoring social media, if you start at step 1, you'll have a plan and you'll at least have something to follow. Okay. Step 2 then is social media, or like digital optimization, I call it. So this, girls, as well. Like you can have somebody who's doing good stuff on social media, but then you go to their website and it's rubbish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might. So someone comes to me and say the ad isn't working. I'm like, oh no, the ad is working perfectly. It's your website that's not converting them. So you can have that as well. So that the analogy I like to use, it's like you get people's attention on social media, but then they go to check you out and they don't know what you're selling or why they should buy from you. So if you don't do step 2, you can waste a whole lot of time and energy on money and ads and social media, but you'll never convert people. And actually, that is the number 1 reason why ads don't convert generally, is because people haven't done step 2. So if you haven't done step 1 or step 2, and you've just skipped to the content, which is step 3, you can see why your content, you'd be busy doing content, but if you haven't done 1 or 2, your content won't relate to your business goals, and you won't have optimized your social media or your website, so you won't be converting people anyway. Okay, so step 3 then is content. And that's the bit that everybody just wants to do. They want to do the content, but like content, if it's generic, if it's not communicating your core messages, if it's not relating back to that goal you want to achieve this year, what is it?
It's just awareness, isn't it? There's no call to action. There's no nothing.
Yeah, and sometimes people actually will say to you, well, this is the type of business. Let's say they're a life coach and say, I really want to attract people who are about to retire. And then you look at their content, you're like, but why then are you putting out content to do with people starting work? Because you're not, they're like, oh, I never thought of it like that. Okay, so that's
or images with just really young people in them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're not. Yes, I said
they're not relatable.
What you put out is what you're going to get back.
Yeah.
So that's step 3 is all about the content, and it's just showing people about how you the different types of content you can create. The awareness content, the educational content, the sales content, the advocate content, and then how you relate that back to your goals. That's step 3. So and then so anybody who's on step 1, who's the first scenario, who was ignoring social media, if they do step 1 and step 2, they'll achieve more than and the other thing I say to them is that, especially when it comes to Facebook and Instagram, like if you really hate social media and you really don't want to be on it that much, okay, you don't have to be on it that much.
No, you don't.
No, you just need to do maybe 2 or 3 decent posts a week, and have some money to put to them, and you'll be fine. Because you really, you don't have to. And like, if you're running a business and you're busy, that's absolutely good enough, as long as it gets results for you. So then if that's step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 4 then is targeting. It's understanding how to target create different audiences. So demographic audiences, or audiences based on people's age or interests or whatever that is, but also retargeting audiences as well. So, Facebook and ads or Instagram ads, they're amazing for that. So setting up the pixel tracking code. So many people don't have that done. And so, yeah.
And again, that relates back to your website, because there's where the tracking code goes into.
Exactly. So many, and so, and with the iOS update that came in last year from Apple, it just makes things a little bit more complicated for businesses that don't host the conversion element of their customer journey on their own website. So if you're sending somebody away from your website when to a third party website, you can no longer verify that domain. You can't track that. Well, you can still track it. There's ways to go about it, but it's just a little bit more difficult. So it's all about making sure that sorry, my noisy chair. It's all about making sure that you can track and that you're targeting people effectively and that you're targeting the right audiences. That's step 4. And step 5 then is learning how to use the ads manager to create ads. So again, like you girls, there's quite a lot to it. There's so much to it that people don't understand.
So many levels and layers to ads manager, isn't there?
There is, yeah. And then like you have,
and they keep changing it.
And they keep changing it.
Yeah, there's like 13 different objectives. It's like, and each objective is going to give you a different result. Then there's different ways of targeting. Then you can run your ads on a schedule. Then there's other things that trip people's up, like campaign optimization. Should they have it on or off, or should they run their ads on a schedule, or where should they run their ads, what placements should they select, and all of that then that comes into step 5, and then step 6 is about reviewing the ad. How did it perform? And is it performing? Do I need to tweak it? Do I need to change it? And the next time I do an ad, what would I do differently, because I've learned now what worked from this ad? So they're the 6 steps. So some people as well that maybe are just running ads and aren't doing any content or aren't doing any planning, they can waste a lot of money on ads if they haven't done this, particularly step 1 and step 2 as well. So
you don't think you should just do ads in isolation? You should post as well as do ads in order to sort of mix it up a little bit, and because otherwise you're just constantly selling all the time, I suppose.
All the sponsored posts keeps coming up for that person.
Well, I suppose sometimes the ad can be like, this is something like, the ad doesn't necessarily have to be that you're selling something. Your ad could be like, you do a nice educational post, it's a blog post, or it's a video post, or it's something where you're helping your ideal customer, and you just pay to get that out there. Like, that can be really effective as well. But you're right, Melanie, like in my experience, like we take on about 15 clients at a time in our agency, and the clients that show up week in, week out are the clients that do the best on ads. And the people that just want to show up at the very end of it all and run ads, they don't have as much success. So and the people that so I know we're in January now, so we're still kind of reviewing the Christmas performance. The businesses that got the best return, and we work with businesses across multiple sectors. We actually, half of them are products, half of them are services. So it's like we get a good experience of it all. But the one thing that stood out to us is that the businesses that started their Christmas campaigns in September, apologies everybody, I know that's really annoying, but the people that started in September, they didn't necessarily start getting the results straight away in September, but they got amazing results in November and December. And the businesses that came to you, the businesses that come to you late and they say, we're in a, we really need your help, and you're going, it's too late. You're going, look, it's a bit late in the day, you're not going to get the same results. And they're going, please just do it for us. And you do the ads and they're not as successful. And you feel bad then, even though you knew that was going to be the case. But the businesses that show up week in, week out. And here's another thing as well that I think people have unrealistic expectations. So people think that they're chasing the shiny viral post. Oh, I had a post and 500 million people saw it. Like I was saying, like, so what? Like, that means nothing. I would rather see somebody show up and reach 300 or 400 or 500 people regularly than to see one post having a big viral reach. It means nothing. And sometimes as well, like the mainstream media, like they're only interest in social media is the big shiny stories.
Mm.
So they will feature the TikTokers that have 2 million followers. And how does that relate to a small business who doesn't have time to be on TikTok, or to do what you need to do in order to get that level of following? It doesn't relate at all. And then that's where people can maybe go onto social media and they say, oh, sure, God, I only reached 300 people with that post. I'm not doing it again. Whereas, 300 people, if you're reaching 300 people regularly, and if you can augment that reach then with some paid advertising, you will drive sales and you will increase leads to your business. But it won't come immediately. The work you do now, the leads that are coming through the door now are as a result of work you did a few months ago. And the work that you do now will bring in leads in the future. But it's not a light switch. You don't go in and then you start getting leads. It doesn't work like that. I also say as well, when you're running ads, because I've come to the point now, I say to people, if you're not prepared to spend money on social media ads, like, you're always going to be limited in what you can achieve. I always say with ads as well, if you run an ad, you have three benefits of running an ad. You have the direct sales you get from that ad. So with your tracker, your pixel tracker, you can see those direct sales coming in. And then you get the indirect sales, right? So somebody screenshots it or they save it, or then they go on a different device and then they come in and they buy on your website, but you can't link that directly back to the ad. Or you're advertising product A and they come back and they go, can we have product C? And you're like, that has come from that ad, because they've seen what you've done and they want to do business with you. And then you have the future sales. It's the people who aren't ready to buy yet, but they've noted you. They've mentally noted you, or they've saved you, or they've written you down for later, and you get that sales in the future. So there's always benefits from running ads, as long as you're running them properly.
So what would you, so we've been talking about, the main ads and stuff, but there's also the boosts. What would you say to people who just want to boost the post for a $5? There's
absolutely nothing wrong with boosting a post. Boosting a post is an ad. Once you're paying money, it's an ad. What I would say, the $5 is the problem. I would say, I see, I ran an ad, I ran €2 for a day for 10 days. I spent, whatever that is, I can't even do the maths, €20, right? And you're like, I kind of say general rule of thumb, €10 minimum per day. And run your ads for 3 or 4 days, maybe a bit longer. That's the one thing we found with the ads this year, this year, is that they needed a few days to get going.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
The learning as well, it takes a few days to learn.
And
do you think, because it's doing the 7-day cycle now, has that actually made things easier doing a 7-day, or are we missing out on the old 28-day optimization?
It really depends on what you're selling. What's that? What do you call that? Oh.
I was counting on you to remember.
Attribution. The attribution.
We got there eventually.
At 70, I think that's more relevant for higher ticket items. So if you're selling something that's, if you're selling something that's a few €1,000, your 28-day window of attribution, I think, was probably more relevant then. I think for lower ticket items, the 7 window, I didn't notice a huge difference, to be honest, across lots of clients. We would have kept a really close eye. So it didn't change it too much. I suppose at the end of the day, it goes down to this. Every week we meet our clients, every week we check what are the direct sales. Then we go, you can go into the events manager and the ads manager, and you can just count the sales and compare. I like to compare 1 week against the other. So we'd look and say, okay, on average, there's maybe 10 sales coming in on that website. And then when we started running the ads, that went up to 13, and the next week went to 14, the next week went to 15. And this is above and beyond the direct, what you're able to track directly from the ad. So these are just sales that are coming in. But sometimes sometimes people, like your clients, will go, oh no, they just came in. And you're like, but you were running the ad. So
it was magic. It was magic, Louise.
I had one client, and she goes, I said, your ad, but she said, that ad isn't performing that well. I'm like, yeah, but the number of sales on your website has doubled. So when and they're like, oh no, that's not a result of the ad. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And then when the ad turns off, like I said, when the ad turns off, it won't be like a cliff. It's not going to stop. It'll go down like this. It's like going to go down gradually, but it will go down. And they're like, no, no, I don't think so. And then it does. And you're like,
that's where the "I told you so" comes in.
Yeah, and I suppose it's a learning curve for people as well. There's a lot of people out there who are very distrustful, rightly so of Meta or Metaverse, whatever you want to call it now, Facebook, whatever you want to call it. They're very distrustful, and there's a conspiracy theories that once you run an ad, then your organic reach will drop because they want that. I don't buy into any of that. Okay, I don't buy into any of it. I'm just like, they want your ad to be successful so that you'll spend more money on ads.
Absolutely.
And I have lots of clients who generate huge amount of revenue because they run those, they follow the 6-step system consistently. Does it affect their organic reach? No. Some posts are going to perform better than others because they're better posts, or they just resonate with people at a different time, or whatever it is. The awareness posts are always going to perform better. The sales posts will always perform poorly. So, and at the end of the day, it's all about the bottom line. So Agreed. You can argue and have the conspiracy theory, but if you just buy into it and spend your money wisely and careful of how you do it and track what you do and learn all the time, you'll have more money. You'll make more money.
And speaking about tracking and learning and everything like that, you have a planner, don't you, Louise?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the planner.
Did you forget about your planner? Seriously, woman.
I forgot, I was so busy talking. Yeah, this is my planner. Yeah, I'm absolutely delighted with it. It's going really, really well. Like it's
jumping off the shelves.
Did you see that?
Yeah. I saw the ad.
I didn't. No.
That was my daughter, my 13-year-old daughter. So we were doing one of those transitions where it looks like you're just pulling it off the computer. So anyhow, the planner's going really, really well. It's been, honestly, I've sold more of it in America than I have in this side of the pond, which is really exciting.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's really exciting to see. So for anyone who hasn't seen it, what I wanted to do with this planner, because think. I wanted to be everything in it that should be in it and not anything at all that shouldn't be. So I didn't want it to be this big bulky thing. Last year's planner I really liked, but at the end of the day when I saw it, I said, oh, it's too bulky. I wanted to simplify it. I just wanted this to be a nice, sleek, something small, something you can put in your bag, in your handbag, in your computer bag or your briefcase or whatever it is. So that was part of what I wanted. And the first section is all about the different social media platforms and what has changed and what you need to do to adapt in 2022. There's also a section on big themes. So and big themes that are affecting not just social media, but all advertising. So the likes of the eco awareness, the diversity, how women are represented, all of that. And it's so if you watch the ads on the TV, you can see all of those big things coming through. And so for small businesses, it's in that I also give you tips on how you should adapt then your own strategy for the big themes.
I don't suppose the six points are in there, are they?
So they are, yeah. So then there's a workbook.
You see? Right. So there's a
workbook section that takes you step by step on asks you questions and you fill it out, and that's going to help you get clear on your message. Then there's the prompts, all the prompts. So for example, what day today is the 17th? Oh, the 17th.
It's Monday. It's Monday.
So Monday. So today is, or whatever, there's lots of different days. So like last Saturday was National Hat Day, or like National Hugging Day is the 23rd of, I can't even see it now, the 21st of January, or Celebration of Life, all these prompts. And they're supposed to give you inspiration for your social media. And then there's a diary. So that's a planner. So I kind of want people that are using it. It's a daily tool. It's something that's just going to make your life a little bit easier. If you're just stuck for something to post about, like you say, okay, Celebration of Life Day. How can I relate that back to my business goals and my core messages? And so rather than just putting up a generic post about celebration of Life Day, it still needs to relate back to you.
But you won't find that on sellonsocial.media, will you?
No, it's only actually available on Amazon or the Book Depository at the moment. And believe it or not,
you can't get it on your website, louisemcdonnell.com.
Nope.
Well, this is confusing.
This is where she was talking about, when you send people to your website to buy something and then you send them somewhere else to actually pay for it.
And Esther, you're so right, because you know what drives me crazy with Amazon is I can't track anything. I hate that about it. But what I do like about Amazon is this: it's print on demand.
Yeah.
So I don't have to figure out how many copies I need to print.
I've got stacks of them around the house and stuff.
And last year I had that. And last year I was over and back to the post office constantly. And like if you were in Australia and you ordered it, it cost a fortune to send it. Whereas this year, if you're in Australia, they print it in Australia and they send it to you in Australia. You probably have free shipping.
Oh, that's cool.
More economical, more eco-friendly as well.
It is actually more eco-friendly. Yeah, it's print on demand. And the other thing about print on demand is for anyone who's ever thinking about doing a book, like if you find a typo, just go and change it. And so the next print, next person who orders it, that's not there anymore.
That's wicked. Top tip to end on there.
So how do we find more about you, Louise? And if anybody wants to get some direct, either one-to-one or group training, how do we learn more about yourself?
So actually, if you go to louisemcdonnell.com, all the links are there. So it'll bring you to the Amazon if you want to find the planner. It'll bring you to my Sell on Social Media Academy website as well. So, and again, I would love to connect with people on social media. You'll always find me under Louise McD Social. So facebook.com/Louise McD Social, Instagram.com/Louise McD Social. It's always Louise McD Social.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Louise, for joining us today and for all that wealth of knowledge. I'll certainly be going back through it and noting down those 6 points, and we'll all have happier and healthier businesses because of it.
Yeah, amen to that.
Thanks for joining us.
And thank you so much for inviting me.
We'll be back next week with more Monday Morning Marketing. Until then, bye-bye.